Welcome. Today we're talking about AutoML frameworks, and more specifically, about when to use automated model selection and tuning, and just as importantly, when not to. If you've worked on a machine learning team, you already know the pattern. A promising idea turns into weeks of trying different algorithms, different feature sets, and endless rounds of hyperparameter tuning against a validation set. AutoML exists to automate that loop, but it's not magic, and it's not a universal replacement for engineering judgment. This isn't a vendor pitch, it's a practitioner's guide, the mental model every framework shares, how it actually works under the hood, where it earns its keep in production, and where it quietly breaks. By the end, you'll have a clear framework for deciding whether AutoML is the right tool for your next project and how to deploy it safely if it is. Let's start with why this matters. Most ML teams don't lose time writing model code. They lose time to search, trying algorithm after algorithm, feature combination after feature combination, one experiment at a time against a validation set. Practitioner surveys and MLOps case studies consistently point to the same finding. Trial and error tuning, not problem framing and not deployment, is the single largest time sink in a typical modeling project. That's the hook for everything we'll talk about today. 3 things drive this. First, combinatorial explosion. Algorithm choice times hyperparameters times feature pipeline adds up to a search space too large to explore by hand. Second, inconsistent baselines. Every engineer tunes differently, so the best model often just reflects who had the most time to iterate, not the most sound approach. And third, opportunity cost. Every hour spent grid searching by hand is an hour not spent on data quality, problem framing, or monitoring, which are usually where the real wins are. AutoML exists to attack all 3 of these at once. Let's look at the mental model it uses to do that. Every AutoML framework, regardless of vendor, is solving the same underlying problem: combined algorithm selection and hyperparameter optimization, or cache, wrapped inside an outer pipeline search. Picture 3 nested rings. At the center is the model itself. The innermost ring is hyperparameter tuning, the search strategy that decides, for a given algorithm, what settings to try. Things like learning rate, tree depth, or regularization strength. That search strategy is usually Bayesian optimization, an evolutionary algorithm, or a bandit-based method. The middle ring is algorithm selection, the cache problem itself, deciding which model family to train at all. Gradient boosting, a neural network, a linear model, and so on. The outer ring is pipeline and feature search, the pre-processing steps and feature engineering choices that happen before any model sees the data. This ring is the most expensive to explore because changing the feature pipeline invalidates everything downstream of it. Here's the important production insight. Outer loops are far more expensive to search than inner ones. As a result, most frameworks default to a fixed, sensible feature pipeline and spend nearly all of their compute budget on the inner 2 rings, algorithm selection and hyperparameter tuning. That's a deliberate trade-off, not a limitation, and it's worth knowing which ring your team is actually paying to search before you commit a budget to it. Let's make that concrete by walking through what an AutoML pipeline actually looks like end-to-end, as it would run in production. Raw data comes in and goes through a feature search stage, the pre-processing and feature engineering step we just discussed. From there, a search strategy component takes over. This is where Bayesian optimization, evolutionary search, or bandit-based methods like Hyperband or BOHB decide which candidate configurations to try next. Those candidates move into a training stage, usually running in parallel across multiple workers, and then into an evaluation stage, cross-validation combined with early stopping or pruning. The results feed a leaderboard, which ranks the candidates and, in many frameworks, builds an ensemble from the top performers. The detail that matters most here is the feedback loop running from evaluation back to the search strategy. Modern frameworks, Hyperband, BOHB, ASHA, don't train every candidate to completion. They give a small compute budget to a large number of candidates, evaluate early, prune the weak ones, and reinvest the saved compute in the survivors. This is what makes search tractable at scale. Without this feedback loop, you're just running a brute force grid search with extra steps, and that's usually where compute budgets quietly get out of control. Let's ground this in code. Here's a constrained search implemented with Optuna, a widely used define-by-run hyperparameter optimization library. 3 details separate this from a toy notebook script. First, the search space is explicitly bounded. Number of estimators between 50 and 400, max depth between 3 and 12, learning rate on a log scale between roughly 0.1% and 30%. Unbounded ranges are one of the most common causes of runaway AutoML compute costs, so this is not optional. Second, notice the exception handling. If a candidate configuration fails to fit, maybe due to a numerical instability or a resource limit, the objective function catches that failure, logs it as a trial attribute, and returns negative infinity, rather than raising an exception and crashing the entire search. That's a fail-closed pattern. One bad candidate should never take down the whole study. Third, and maybe most important for production, there's a hard wall clock timeout on the study itself, 30 minutes here, combined with a fixed number of parallel jobs. That timeout is what turns an open-ended search into a bounded, predictable cost. Bounded ranges, a fail-closed error path, and a hard timeout, those 3 things are what separate a script from a system you can actually run in production. So when should you actually reach for AutoML, and when should you stay manual? This is a decision framework, not a universal ranking. Reach for AutoML when you're working with tabular data and a well-defined metric with a clean baseline, when your team needs a strong baseline fast before investing further engineering time, when compute budget is available but engineering time is the scarcer resource, when you need to retrain many similar models on a cadence, think per market or per tenant models, or when the search space is large but well-studied, like standard gradient boosting or common neural network blocks. Stay manual when domain structure, causal constraints, monotonicity requirements needs to directly shape the model. When your data is small, imbalanced, or prone to leakage, because search will happily overfit to the leaderboard in those conditions. When interpretability or a regulatory audit requires a pipeline your team fully understands, not just a winning configuration. When the problem is genuinely novel, so there's no strong prior for a search algorithm to lean on. Or when your latency or memory budget is tight enough that it requires hand-tuned trade-offs a generic search won't discover on its own. In practice, many teams run both in parallel early on. AutoML for a fast baseline, and manual tuning to see whether it's actually worth trying to beat that baseline. Now, let's talk about the failure modes that don't show up in a vendor demo. First, compute runaway. An unbounded search on a large tabular dataset can burn a full GPU day chasing a fraction of a percent of AUC improvement. We're talking 10 to 50 times the cost of a properly bounded search. This is almost always a symptom of skipping the budget constraints we just saw in the code. Second, leaderboard overfitting. Run hundreds of trials against a single validation split, and eventually you'll find a configuration that got lucky on that particular fold, not one that's actually more robust. Nested cross-validation is the standard defense here. Treat anything on the leaderboard as a hypothesis to verify, not a verdict. Third, silent data leakage. Automated feature search is, if anything, more likely than a careful human to surface a leaky feature, something like a timestamp that encodes information from after the prediction point. A manual review of the top-ranked features every time is non-negotiable. Fourth, black box debugging. When a production model degrades 6 months from now, the search picked it is not an explanation an on-call engineer can act on. The fix is to log the full trial configuration, not just the winning model, so there's a paper trail to debug against later. Let's look at how one company actually built this into their platform. Uber's internal ML platform, Michelangelo, added an AutoML capability on top of its existing feature store and training infrastructure, not as a separate, standalone tool. The goal was to let product teams, not just ML specialists, get a strong baseline model without hand-tuning. 3 design choices stand out. AutoML plugged into the same feature store and the same serving path as manually built models, so there was no separate deployment story to maintain. The search itself was scoped to model families the platform already knew how to serve reliably, trading some search breadth for real operational simplicity. And automated model cards captured the winning configuration for every deployed model, so on-call engineers could actually inspect what had been deployed when something went wrong. The broader pattern here is the one to take away. AutoML succeeds long-term when it's treated as one layer of the existing platform, sharing infrastructure, sharing a serving path, rather than a bolt-on tool competing with everything else the team has already built. Let's look at where this space is heading. The newest generation of AutoML frameworks no longer start every search from scratch. Tools like AutoGluon's zero-shot portfolios and meta-learned warm starts inside Bayesian optimization compute lightweight meta features of a new dataset, its size, cardinality, class balance, feature correlations, and match those against a library of prior searches run on similar datasets. Instead of starting with random exploration, the search jumps straight to configurations that have historically performed well on comparable problems before running a single trial of its own. The practical effect is significant. A search that used to need hundreds of trials to find something competitive can now reach comparable quality in a fraction of the trials, simply because the starting candidates are informed guesses rather than blind guesses. LLM-guided orchestration is the natural next step in this direction, using a language model's prior knowledge over ML pipelines to propose an initial candidate set from a natural language description of the problem, then handing off to classical search for the fine-tuning pass. Here's why this matters for you as a practitioner. The framework you choose 2 years from now may spend most of its compute budget on retrieval and matching against prior searches, not on brute force trials. When you're evaluating vendors, look at the quality of their meta-learned priors, not just the sophistication of their search algorithm. Let's consolidate everything into 5 heuristics you can bring back to your team today. 1. Bound everything before you press start. Wall clock timeout, parallelism cap, and search space ranges are not optional extras. They're the difference between a useful tool and a cost incident. 2. Treat the leaderboard as a hypothesis, not a verdict. Revalidate the top candidate with nested cross-validation, or against a held-out set the search never touched. 3. Log the losing trials, not just the winner. Debugging a production regression 6 months from now requires the full search history, not just one saved model file. 4. Match the tool to the search space, not the hype. A well-studied tabular problem is a great fit for AutoML. A genuinely novel architecture problem usually isn't, at least not yet. 5. Integrate, don't bolt on. AutoML earns its keep as a layer in your existing feature store and serving path, not as a separate silo your team has to maintain on the side. If you want to go deeper, here's a starting point. On the research side, the AutoWeka paper, which first formalized the combined algorithm selection and hyperparameter optimization problem we discussed, and the Hyperband paper, which introduced the bandit-based approach behind that feedback loop in the pipeline diagram. On the tooling side, AutoGluon, for tabular and multimodal problems with zero-shot portfolios. Optuna, the define-by-run hyperparameter optimization library we used in the code example. And H2O driverless AI, an enterprise platform with a stronger focus on interpretability tooling. Reading the paper behind a tool is usually a faster way to find its blind spots than reading its marketing page. Worth the extra hour before you standardize on any one of these. Let's close with the idea to hold on to. The best AutoML decision is knowing which 20% of the search space actually matters for your problem. The framework only handles the other 80%. If you're taking this back to your team, start small. Pilot AutoML on one well-scoped tabular problem before standardizing it across the organization. Bound the budget before the first trial ever runs. Wall clock timeout and search space ranges belong in the ticket, not as an afterthought. And keep a human in the loop. Leaderboard results are a shortlist for review, not an automatic promotion straight to production. Thank you.